Good morning, everyone. My topic for today's PG activity is testicular biopsy. It was first introduced by Charney and Hotchkiss in the year 1940. Testicular biopsy involves the process of obtaining a small bitter core of testicular tissue sample, which is then sent for microscopic examination. Before moving forward with the topic of testicular biopsy, let us briefly brush up on the knowledge of our anatomy of the testis. Testes are a paired olive-shaped organ which are present outside the body in the scrotal sac. They are covered outside by the tunica vaginalis, in the inside by the tunica albuginea. They are divided into numerous lobules which are separated by fibromuscular septum. Each lobule contains numerous seminiferous tubules, which are the functional unit of a testis. These tubules confuse to form excurrent duct system known as tubuli recti, which drain their secretions into the rete testis, which further drain it into epididymis and so on. This is a normal histological section of the testis. Going with the indications of the biopsy, in infertility, in cases of primary hypogonadism, where there is increased levels of FSH, in clinically suspected cases of testicular obstruction, in cases of infertility to distinguish between obstructive and non-obstructive azoospermia, in assisted reproductive techniques to identify the presence of spermatozoa, spermatids, and their subsequent extraction, to determine the viability of the testicular tissue in cases of torsion of testes, in congenital conditions like cryptorchidism, Klinefelter syndrome, in cases of malignancy where there is high risk of germ cell tumors, and in vasculitis. The methods with which we can perform the testicular biopsy are open incisional biopsies, wedge biopsies, and percutaneous biopsies. In open biopsy, a small 2 to 3 centimeter incision is made on the scrotal skin and a tiny pea-sized amount of testicular tissue is then removed. In a wedge biopsy, a small 2 to 3 centimeter incision is made and a wedge-shaped sample of testicular tissue is removed. It is similar to the incisional biopsy. In percutaneous biopsy, a needle is inserted through the scrotal skin into the testis and a sample of tissue is drawn into the syringe which is attached to the needle. Usually, a 25 gauge needle is used to minimize the amount of trauma caused to the limited or viable testicular tissue where there is, in cases of infertility. The adequacy of the biopsy can be determined grossly by the presence of at least 3 millimeters of the biopsy per section, and histologically, we can call the biopsy adequate if there are 3 to 5 lobules per septate or 100 profiles of seminiferous tubules in a single biopsy. The fixatives which are commonly used are 10% formalin, Bowen solution, which is saturated picric acid, 38% formaldehyde, and glacial acetic acid, and Steve's solution, which contains solution A and solution B. Solution A contains mercury chloride and distilled water, and B contains 38% formaldehyde with glacial acetic acid. Steve's solution is made by mixing 38 ml of solution A with 12 ml of solution B. The stains which are used for examination of the biopsies are hematoxylin and eosin, iodic acid chip, trichrome, Vigert, and von Giesen. While evaluating the biopsy, these are the parameters which we look for. Overall morphology of the testes, size and structure of the seminiferous tubules, the morphology of the interstitial tissue, spermatogenesis in each and every seminiferous tubules, and quantitative assessment of the cells. Before going to the normal testicular biopsy, let's talk about spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis is the process of formation of male gamete. It usually takes 72 days. There are 3 phases: mitosis, meiosis, and spermiogenesis. In mitosis, the the diploid spermatogonium undergoes mitotic division to form the primary spermatocyte. The primary spermatocyte undergoes meiosis to form the secondary spermatocyte, which later undergoes meiosis too, which forms the spermatids. These spermatids undergo a series of dedifferentiation to form motile flagellar-like cells known as spermatozoa, which are capable of motility. This process is known as spermiogenesis. in a normal testicular biopsy. The germ cells are present in all stages. All the tubules are actively undergoing spermatogenesis. There is presence of normal testicular tissue, and the number of late spermatids correlates with the sperm count. The common patterns of damage which we see while examining the testicular biopsies are hypospermatogenesis, germ cell maturation arrest, Sertoli cell only syndrome, seminiferous tubule hyalinization, intratubular germ cell neoplasia, and immature testis. Coming to hypospermatogenesis, this is a condition in which there are all stages of spermatogenesis are present, but they are reduced in number, but the proportionality of the cells are maintained. Common causes are hormonal dysregulation, androgen insensitivity, exposure to heat, radiation, or harmful chemicals. The tubules show mixed pattern showing Sertoli cells only or hyaline sclerosis with other tubules containing complete spermatogenesis. There are three types of hypospermatogenesis in the testicular biopsy, which is mild, moderate, and severe. In mild forms, the changes are present only in occasional tubules, whereas in severe forms, there is significant reduction of spermatogenesis in all tubules, and the moderate hypospermatogenesis shows the changes which are in between these two. In the microscopic section, we can see there is thickening of the tunica, there is interstitial fibrosis, tubular sclerosis, germ cell disorganization, and germ cell sloughing into the lumen.
What is thickening of the tunica syndrome?
Not in this section. Coming to germ cell maturation arrest, there is interruption of development and differentiation of germ cells at a specific stage. There are two types of maturation arrest, complete and incomplete. In complete maturation arrest, the maturity ceases at a specific point, frequently at the primary spermatocyte level, and the sperm counts are usually zero in these patients. In incomplete, it is similar to complete, but there are few late spermatids present in few tubules, and the patients are oligospermic instead of having completely zero sperm count. In the microscopy, we can see numerous spermatogonia, few spermatocytes, and no mature spermatozoa. Sertoli cells are prominent since the germ cells are reduced. The tubules contain degenerated cells with irregular dense nuclei. In Sertoli cell only syndrome, it is also known as germ cell aplasia. It is seen in gonadotropic deficiency, orchitis, prostate cancer, and patients which are on hormonal therapy. There are two populations of tubules which are seen. One population exhibiting germ cell aplasia and other population has reduced spermatogenesis. The patients have very low sperm count, and the Sertoli cell can be seen in four forms. There are normal or adult or mature Sertoli cells, immature Sertoli cells, dysgenetic Sertoli cells, and involuting cells. In the microscopic section, we can see that the tubules are reduced in diameter and lined by Sertoli cells only. The Sertoli cells are arranged perpendicular to the basement membrane and may resemble a palm tree in a breeze. The cells have nuclear indentations and prominent nucleoli, and sometimes thin eosinophilic lines are present in various directions, which are known as Charcot-Boucher crystals. In tubular hyalinization, this term is used when the tubules are without germ cells or Sertoli cells, and it is accompanied by peritubular fibrosis, tubular hyalinization, commonly seen in Klinefelter syndrome, hypoprolactinemia, postpubertal androgen or estrogen excess. Usually, the number of Leydig cells is increased, but their function is impaired. In the microscopic section, we can see germinal epithelium is damaged by fibrosis. There is peritubular fibrosis, and Sertoli cells are lost, and in end stage, the tubules are filled with collagen. Coming to intratubular germ cell neoplasia, it is an in situ stage of germ cell neoplasia, formerly known as carcinoma in situ. It is subdivided into intratubular seminoma, intratubular non-seminoma, intratubular yolk sac tumor, and intratubular teratoma. The IHC states which we can see positive in these cases are PLAP, OCT3 and 4, PAS, CD117, CD2 bar 40, and SALL4. And the negative stains are pancytokeratin, AFP, and CD30. Out of these, the PLAP and the CD117 are the cytoplasmic and membrane staining stains, whereas OCT3 and 4 and SALL are the nuclear staining stains. In the microscopic section, we can see large atypical cells with clear cytoplasm, angulated nuclei with coarse chromatin, prominent nucleoli, and cell borders. It resembles like the fried egg appearance which are seen in the seminoma cells. The basement membrane is hyalinized and the seminiferous tubules are atrophic, which are displacing the Sertoli cells towards the lumen. There is often patchy involvement and spermatogenesis is absent. Coming to quantitative analysis, the scoring system which is used for quantitative analysis is known as Johnson's scoring system. In this, the section, the tubule is scored from 1 to 10 by examining each seminiferous tubules. The score 10 goes for a complete spermatogenesis with spermatozoa present in the tubule. Score 9 goes when there are many spermatozoa, but they are disorganized and there is disorganized spermatogenesis. Score 8 goes when there are few spermatozoa seen, which are usually less than 5 to 10. 7 is for no spermatozoa, where the spermatids are seen. 6 when there are few spermatids seen, which are usually less than 5 to 10. 5 when there are no spermatids, but spermatocytes can be seen. 4 when few spermatocytes are seen, which are usually less than 5. 3 when only spermatogonia are present. 2 when there are no germ cells and only Sertoli cells are present. And 1 when there are no cells inside the tubule. Now, apart from the diagnostic use of testicular biopsy, some of the therapeutic uses of testicular biopsy are in assisted reproductive techniques. In patients with azoospermia, spermatozoa can be retrieved from the epididymis or testis using different surgical methods like TESSA or microtest. TESS, also known as testicular sperm extraction, TESSA, also known as testicular sperm aspiration, and microtest, which is the microdissection testicular sperm extraction. In TESS, a small portion of testicular tissue is removed to extract viable sperm cells, most commonly for intracytoplasmic sperm injection. The procedure is usually done under local anesthesia. The sample is assessed under a microscope to confirm the presence of sperm, and the extracted sperm is then cryogenically preserved for future use. In TESSA, which is also known as testicular sperm aspiration, the process involves inserting a needle in the testis and aspiration of viable sperm for intracytoplasmic sperm injection. The procedure is an outpatient procedure done under local anesthesia. It is performed for patients with obstructive azoospermia, and the procedure is coordinated with the partner's egg retrieval. Occasionally, TESSA fails to provide adequate sample because the tissue which is exposed for the sampling is less, and the gauge of the needle which is used is also less. In these cases, an open biopsy is needed. In microtest, the microdissection of testis is done under an operative microscope. The testicular parenchyma is observed under increasing degrees of magnification to locate and collect the wider seminiferous tubules, which are more likely to contain an area of active spermatogenesis. If the sperm could not be found, contralateral testis is examined. The procedure is terminated when the sperm is retrieved or further dissection is not possible. This procedure is more precise as the tissue is directly visualized under the microscope, and compared to TESS, there is more chances of successful sperm retrieval. Testicular biopsy nowadays it is more used for the therapeutic or the assisted reproductive techniques as compared to the diagnostic purposes, because there are less there are other alternatives which are non-invasive and more precise which are available. And in cases of carcinoma, there is always a chance of seeding the tumor tissue from the site of biopsy into the remaining normal parenchyma and causing metastasis of the tumor into the testes. And also for the diagnosis purposes, the testicular biopsy is not very precise. So it only points us in the direction of the diagnosis rather than giving us the definitive diagnosis. But in assisted reproductive techniques, it is more useful. Recently, there has been a case in Mumbai where a woman has filed a petition. Her husband had died of COVID-19, and she wanted to conceive. So she had filed a petition in the court asking for the sperm retrieval so that she can cryogenically preserve the sperm and then use it for the for the fertilization in the future. The references which I've used for making this presentation are as follows. Thank you.
Ashwara, good presentation. Can you summarize your entire presentation within 5 minutes? Not looking at the laptop. Yes.
Ma'am, testicular biopsy is basically the obtaining of the small amount of testicular tissue to be observed microscopically. Uh, the the main uses of testicular biopsy are in the regions of infertility and malignancy, but more towards the infertility.
Don't use the word uses, indications.
Indications. In infertility, where we have to differentiate for the between the
That
azoospermia.
is the main use of testicular biopsy.
Yes,
Infertility.
To distinguish between the azoospermia if it's due to the anatomical obstruction or if there is actually less production of the sperms in the testicular tissue.
You didn't stress more on the Sertoli cells. They play a very vital and key role. So you should have described first of all the normal morphology of the Sertoli cells and the function of the Sertoli cells, because they give everything, the nutrients, the support system. It's a basically support system of spermatogenesis.
Yes.
Because you mentioned about the Sertoli cells only when you mentioned about the Sertoli cell only at that time. Then you have mentioned about the some grading system. Okay, so when you say the testicular biopsy is adding, how many centimeters tubules should be there? When you said something about the lobules. The lobules are created by the fibrous septum coming from the tunica albuginea. They form the seminiferous, they form the lobules. And there are about 250 lobules in each testis. And each lobule has got 3 to 5 seminiferous tubules. So when you get the testicular biopsy, first of all the adequacy. After that is the seminiferous tubules, spermatogenesis. There comes your mitosis, meiosis, and spermatogenesis proper. Then Sertoli cells, then the basement membrane, then go to the interstitium. In interstitium, you have to mention the Leydig cells. You didn't stress on the Leydig cells, you didn't stress on the Sertoli cells, because both this, they are hormonally, though Sertoli is not hormonally connected. They give just some nutrients, they secrete some substance and all, right?
Yes.
Support system must say nutrient or certain. And touch spermatogenesis, both must serve.
Yes.
And spermatids are released, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then, when you say the adequacy of the testicular biopsy, how many seminiferous tubules should be seen, and how many seminiferous tubules you are going to examine? Give that grade.
Ma'am, 3 to 5 tubules, and to grade it, ma'am, 100 profiles at least should be
100 what do you mean by 100 profile?
100 in the tubules which are observed should be 100.
So 100 seminiferous tubules you are going to study. And only after that you will give the grading. That is adequacy of the testicular biopsy, right? In how many conditions? What is the commonest complication of testicular biopsy? Anybody else? Commonest complication of testicular biopsy? Vasovagal attack. Vasovagal attack was पहिलाच कसं collapse होतात पटकन सगळे FNAC is so contraindicated and sometimes the RS to ask for the FNAC also previously. Now it's contraindicated. Okay, your presentation was good. You have covered up all the points, but you should have stressed more on that spermatogenesis, where especially for JR1s, how spermatogenesis, right from the spermatogonia कसा दिसतं, मग त्याच्यानंतर ती ट्रायंग्युलर सेल्स कसे येतात, सर्कोली सेल्स ते कुठपर्यंत जातात, ते कोणाला कव्हर अप करतात, आणि मग स्पर्मॅटोगोनिया A and B, spermatids, spermato काय असतात गोवा वगैरे हे सगळं डिटेल मध्ये मुलांसाठी JR1 साठी इवन JR2 because I don't think we nowadays we get testicular biopsies. Previously we get number of testicular biopsies and we always used to get testicular biopsies not informally. They used to send it a filter paper for going through it because it becomes very easy to pick up that like paper को अपन पटकन नहीं करते, otherwise it gets lost if it is sent in formal. Okay, that is the reason why it is sent in Wills testicular biopsy because it's very small. We used to get number of testicular biopsy. We used to have so many publications from our institute on the testicular biopsy. Nowadays they have stopped. I don't know why. Wherever they do this ICSI and all that infertility treatment. So over there they carry out all these tests. Then you mentioned about this qualitative tests towards the end. These are the qualitative tests. There are so many other qualitative tests. You're going to, anybody is going to study a civil analysis, so there is next. Very good presentation.